Hi, everyone. Hope you're well. Just checking the feed. Check. All right. Good. All right. We're golden. Hope you're all well. And this is the third in a trilogy of Facebook Lives I'm doing about what I call a tour of reality or guided tour of reality. This is how I think reality works. This is my metaphysical model, and this is helpful for leaders and creators of all kinds. Anyone who wants to improve their life and transform it into something that is significantly better than what their life is like now. This is the way that I break down the steps to do that. So, starting in December and then going through January, I'm leading a group of four motivated visionaries called Your Next Steps to Success. And success, it really comes down to how you define it. There's a general definition, but it's very important that you define it for yourself before you pursue it, or else you may end up going to a place that you don't ultimately want and where you won't be happy. Um, but that's the power of your next steps to success, is that we define your success before we pursue it. And this is the framework by which we do it. So we've uh, we've been going through how reality works in the previous two videos, and we're going to conclude the cycle today. So I'm going to show you the 8 steps to creation. That's the left side of the diagram. So let's continue our tour. So there's the complete diagram, the complete metaphysics of leadership and creation. This is the process as I always see it, and as I always guide people through it. So in the first live, we broke down this central part that's the 5 metaphysical realms. And as I said yesterday, it's always very tempting for me to go back and review all of this. I'm gonna resist that temptation. So I'm gonna say go back and see my live from 2 days ago if you'd like to catch up on this one. Then, but this is basically reality. This is the 5 parts of reality: motion, life, action, strategy, and purpose. And then yesterday we talked about this part, which is the journey of the individual, because within reality we all exist as individuals and we have subjectivity, right? We're the subject, and we meet objects, right? That's like the philosophical distinction. But we meet reality as subjects, as individuals, and we have this experience of it, of like the collective and nature and the universe. And so we encounter it, and we have this subjective state where we have experiences and feelings, right? And that's really what this is about. These levels of social embedding, the self, family, team, community, species, that we all find ourselves in. We all have versions of those, right? And then we have these frustrations and aspirations, which are mirror images of the ideal, because the frustrations are they're things that we have but don't want. We all have those. And then aspirations are things that we want but don't have. We all have those as well, right? So in other words, we're constantly comparing reality to what we wish it were more like. And that's what I call the ideal. And that's what a lot of people have called the ideal. It's paradoxical because the ideal itself contains a path to growth, so it can't ever be perfect, right? It's imperfectible. And that's like the contradiction that's sort of built into reality. And that's either a beautiful thing or, a very discouraging thing, depending on how we look for it. But either way, discerning the ideal and getting clear on these things that we have but don't want, and the things that we want but don't have, and getting clear on how that reveals our ideal takes us to this realm that I call the realm of purpose, which is this very special magical place where we contemplate the human condition, we feel it deeply, and we ask, what's not here yet that we want to actualize? And when we really get there, and I think that's what's special about the work that I do, is that I hold a space for people to experience that realm of purpose, where we contemplate the human condition in a very unusual way. But when we spend time there and really get clear on what we want, then the strategy populates effortlessly and with great precision. And then that changes the actions that we're taking in this moment. I was just thinking today, I'm going to create content around this. It's funny, the present moment, like the cruelty of the human condition is that the present moment is the one thing we don't have. We can't ever exist in the now because the now becomes the past. And we're always looking to the future that's becoming the now that becomes the past. So yeah, I think a lot of people say, be in the now. I don't think it's possible. I just don't. I think that theologies point to the now. Um, they point to this divine realm where everything is still, everything's static, everything's placid. I just don't think that's how human life works. We're always looking back and telling stories about what happened, and then we're always looking forward and crafting visions about what's coming. Like that's what human life is, I think. So this model shows how we do that, right? The ideal is that thing we glimpse beyond time, but we're constantly converting it um, into the strategy and the action, that we can work that we can enact. So once we do this work of dwelling in purpose, then we populate the strategy, and there are 4 steps to bridge that gap, and those are vision, clarity, leadership, and thinking. And then there's 4 more steps to bridge the gap between strategy and action, the action that we're taking right now. And that's audience, communication, persuasion, and agreement. I'm currently releasing a podcast series about these 8 steps, which I call The Universal Shape of Leadership and Creation. And my first book, The Complete Science of Human Dynamics, I'm not sure how clearly you can see that. The entire second section of this book is about this part, the experience of the individual and these 8 steps. And the first part is this, and then or these 5 realms. And then the third part is basically my understanding of what it means to undergo therapy. I call them the 5 perpetual, perennial, paradoxical, problematic dysfunctions of the human condition. They are 5 problems of the human condition that humans experience in all ages that we can't ever get rid of. And I think really holding a therapeutic space for people means understanding those and understanding that everyone is enduring those problems. And that's just what it means to be human. So let me break these down quickly, and that'll be my live for this evening. Again, if this is interesting to you and if this is stimulating you, then I invite you to come and spend December and January with me and 3 other motivated visionaries so that you can get clear on what success means for you. This ideal that you glimpse, take stock of these frustrations, these aspirations, and all these areas of your life, and really start forging the path of positive change, which we're going to do in January. January is going to be the month of implementation. So let's talk about what that looks like, implementation, because I think it's always these 8 steps. So let's go through them one by one. So first, from purpose to strategy. And this is the realm where we largely work with vision and mindset. Okay. So this part right here, this bridge between purpose and strategy, this is an internal, mental, spiritual game. Okay. And here's what it looks like. So we start with vision, so if you think about it, everyone daydreams. And I saw this fascinating definition of daydream in a dictionary years ago, which is, it's like it's a dreamlike musing while awake, typically of the fulfillment of wishes, right? And so you think about, these aspirations, right, that we talked about, right? Everyone has them. We're always comparing reality to some other version of reality that's not here yet that we would prefer. So those are visions. And so, we have visions for all these realms or all these sort of spheres of our life, right? So we're going to get clear on those visions. We're going to get clear on, okay, what does it mean to improve my life? I have this individual subjective vision that I can pursue, right? So the first step is to define the vision. The second step is to really look at it clearly, right? Because like daydreams, like we can dismiss them and then they kind of float away, they morph into other things. And what I think is that if you really look at your daydreams, you are going to discern features about it because I think that they can be realized. And they're always going to involve other people because we're a social species, right? And everything that we do affects other people. Everything that we do influences other people or is influenced by other people or some combination of the two. And I call that interfluence. So don't stop at the vision. Look at it and discern its features, you know, get clear about it. And I guarantee you will see something that you can start working toward. And once you see that, you know, then this next step is really magical. It's leadership. And I really think, you know, that when we get clear on that, we have a choice, you know, and we can say, okay, do I want to step into that? Is that something that I want to grow and um, you know, step into and develop the persistence to pursue and become the leader of that vision, right? Because no one else is going to do it because they don't see it, right? Because it's an individual, internal, subjective thing. Only you're the one who sees it. So if you claim that vision, you know, if you you know, I don't like that word claim. It's like, but you know, if you accept that vision, then you can make the choice to become a leader. And then once you do that, then you start asking, okay, well, what would I have to do first, second, third, and uh, and you know, fourth, and in what order to begin to realize that vision. And then that's the process of thinking. You know, thinking is something I do a lot, but it has to have its place, right? You can't think your way into success until you start with the vision, right? Because otherwise, you know, you're just using this very brilliant strategic tool to spin wheels, you know, that aren't pursuing anything. So those are the four steps to bridge purpose and strategy. You notice there isn't any action. I mean, in a way, everything we do is action, right? Because we can't stop taking action. That's what we learned on day one. Um, but you know, you can see like these steps, these are internal, right? You know, they're about they're about discerning what's in your imagination and your mind and developing like the character, or, you know, the skills, the traits to pursue that vision. And from that point, we can bridge the gap between the realms of strategy and action so that we can say, okay, how do we order our actions that we're taking anyway to pursue this vision? And these are the four steps to bridge strategy and action. The first one is audience, right? So when you discern that vision, um, there's always going to be people there, right? So who are the people there, right? And I've worked with organizations that have easily a dozen audiences. You know, some of the, you know, more complicated nonprofits. There are many different audiences that you know, that certain organizations need different messages for. You know, for my music school, there's I think what, probably three or four audiences. You know, like when I think about all the people who um, you know, who need to be influenced and persuaded to do certain things. So your vision will have audiences, right? So who are they? Who are the people? And what are the messages that they need to act, to change their course, to come and be part of your vision, right? And then you have to communicate with them, right? So what do you say to them? What channels do you use? You know, is it social media? Is it a website? Is it a written letter? Is it face-to-face communication? Is it a Zoom call? Is it a phone call? Is it a text message? Is it some combination of all of those? Think about all the people in your life that you influence, that you persuade. It's always a communication process, you know? So that's the next step. And then what is communication about? Well, it's about persuasion, right? It's about changing people's actions, right? Changing their actions to align with your vision. And that's always an act of persuasion because you have to transform their motivations. You know, you have to get them to do things, right? That they wouldn't otherwise. That's persuasion. And then finally, what are you persuading them toward? And this right here, this is, you know, this is the most harmonious word. And I think this may be the meaning of life. That's what I write in one of my books. This last step, um, you know, to bridge strategy and action, it is agreement. Because when people are persuaded, ultimately in the way that you want, that is what they do. They make an agreement with you. And some agreements are explicit, you know, which means that we, you know, write up a contract and we sign our name on the bottom. Some agreements are implicit, which means that there's um, this very clear sense of what's going to be exchanged, you know, as we go forward and we collaborate in reality to shape it, right? You know, I told you this is a metaphysical process. We are shaping reality through this process of agreement that is facilitated by persuasive communication with our audiences that we've discerned through a thinking process after choosing to be leaders from becoming clear in our vision, right? That is how life works. That is how humans work. That's how we all work, right? That's how all of our groupings, all of our um, communication, all of our intentions work. And really what humans are doing all the time is taking actions and then asking, okay, how do I align them for better results? And then where do I even get the vision for what that better result even is, what it means, who all is involved with it? Those are the realms. This is the experience of the individual, and these are the 8 steps to bridge that gap. So yeah, that's the metaphysics of leadership and creation. So that's what's going to be guiding our work in your next steps to success, or YNS2S again. Act now if you'd like to be a part of that. It's limited to just 4 people in addition to myself. And the early bird discount expires tomorrow, which is Friday, November 22nd, just in time to get into Thanksgiving week. Registration will stay open through the end of November. Um, and yeah, I really can't wait to see who answers that call. Responds to my communication here and decides to join that vision. Everything that I do is a meta teaching. To me, coaching is the pure meta profession. It is, it distills everything that's effective about every other profession, and simply models the relational and communicative tools. And that's what makes it applicable to everything. So I do hope you join me, because it's going to be a fantastic group experience, and it will change your life. Because that is what people tell me about my work, is that it is life changing. So yes, I hope you join me. I'm gonna have the link in the comments here, and you can pay up front. There's an installment plan also, and that's also subject to the early bird discount. So hope you've enjoyed this series of lives as much as I've enjoyed delivering them. That's the metaphysics of leadership and creation. This is my understanding of how reality works and how humans work within reality, and it guides everything that I advise and teach my clients, my audiences. Yeah, all the work that I do. So thanks so much for listening, and hope to see you at your next steps to success, YNS2S. Early bird discount expires tomorrow. Thanks so much, everyone, and I'll talk to you soon.